recite the Holy Quran?
MashaAllah. Bismillah kare.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم ومن يدع مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به فإنما حسابه عند ربه إنه لا يفلح الكافرون وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much, Mia Hafizur Rahman. Mia Hafizur Rahman is, mashallah, owner of Al Haram school system, and one of the biggest school system, mashallah, is a very having good building, good infrastructure, and he has, I think, 2 campuses. Mia Hafizur Rahman is one of our founding member. We have Al-Jodi Murad from Morocco, our STEM ambassador, and we have Rabil, a STEM teacher, reported teacher from Morocco. We welcome. We have Salman Niazi, lecturer, Chennai University. She is lecturer in English, Chennai University. We welcome Fizza Shah. Fizza Shah, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Bismillah se shuru karte hain. My name is Fizza Shah from the UK. I'm a positive psychology practitioner. I've just completed a master's in applied social psychology. All living aspects optimum levels of function in human beings. So looking at well-being amongst adults, including flourishing attributes as well. And yeah, people how children be grandparents. I've taken on board my undergraduate dissertation, which I did for coping with stress. Look, but I don't think helps you go through the experience and allows you to actually underrated nowadays is
Fizza Shah, sorry to interrupt you. Fizza Shah, sorry to interrupt you. I am unable to hear your voice. So I don't know the same issue with other members also, or only for me. Are you listening? Are you listening to Fizza Shah properly? Then maybe it's from my side problem.
Missing voice, some missing voice, some missing.
Yeah, her voice is little bit. I think it's breaking time to time. Fizza Shah, unfortunately, I think your voice we are unable to hear you properly. Would you like to?
Do you want me to? Sorry, is that a bit better now?
No, it's little bit clear. Alhamdulillah, it's good.
It's clear. Okay, that's good. I'll start again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Fizza Shah. I'm from the UK. I'm a positive psychology practitioner. We look at positive psychology interventions for increasing student well-being, for individual flourishing attributes. So a lot of research has been done on character building and creating happiness, and also looking at how you can boost individuals' positivity levels. So those were the 3 main areas whereby positive psychology has concentrated on. The purpose of doing that research was to actually collate together what attributes human behavior has on optimal levels of performance. So obviously, students who want to perform well on an academic level, they would have to look at what they can do to actually cultivate that upper level of functioning. whereby positive psychology research says that a student's well-being is very important. So for them to cultivate good levels of happiness, then to cultivate and implement their strengths is very important too. So them just to know their character strengths, I feel would be an amazing attribute for them coping with exams. So when they're feeling like I can't do this, knowing what top 5 character strengths they have, they can implement that within their study times. They're having a timetable, implementing their for me personally, one of my character strengths is perseverance. So I pursue tasks until it's accomplished. So knowing that I have that, identified that character strength, I will be more motivated to then implement it in my course at hand, or the task that I needed to have to actually complete as well. So for students nowadays, I think for them just to identify their character strengths and then adopt those strategies whereby they can actually complete their tasks, having a timetable, having a schedule, having a set period whereby they know that, okay, today I need to revise for 2 hours for a certain subject, then I'm going to take a 45-minute break. So it's finding a balance for their own positive well-being through their studies, as well as resting and doing things they enjoy, rewarding themselves for the hard work they've done, but obviously being focused, having a timetable for that set period of time within their exam periods, realizing that, okay, this is my exam, this is at a certain time, I need to be putting in a certain amount of time for revision for that task, and then I can sort of then take a break, because obviously concentration levels, be it amongst teenagers or even undergraduates, there's only a certain amount of time you can put in whereby you won't be producing effective sort of constructive revision sessions. So, and also you've got to adopt those methods that work for you. So having group sessions with other colleagues, collaborating with your group members, your peer members, note taking, doing all those things that allow you to actually understand your topic, and actually interacting with other student members. And obviously going back to the lecturers to ask them, have I got the right resources? So being organized is another major issue. So if you're organized, if you've got a proper schedule, if you're working with your character strengths, you're rewarding yourselves, you're actually cutting your task down into doable tasks. So these type of things would actually help you adopt an adaptive way of coping with your stress. Stress, you have to realize, comes in many forms. Some students physically feel sick or physically sort of show attributes of stress that way. Some psychologically get sick. So you have to address whatever stress you're experiencing in that adaptive way. If it's psychological stress, whereby you feel that obviously, I think I can't cope with what I've been given to do, or the task at hand seems too much to do, break down the task, break it down into doable tasks. Collaborate with other friends, talk about it. There's nothing more like experiencing bad stress on your own. So obviously, if you're studying in groups, so peer group sessions, talking to someone else who's experiencing or doing the same exam, and just saying, okay, I've done this much, this is my understanding of what the topic is, what do you say on that topic? So just conferring with each other, having a conversation with your peer groups is a very good adaptive coping mechanism through your exam stress. And also, if you don't understand something, find out about it. Do not sit there in denial and think that, okay, I don't know it, I can't do it. So having a more proactive approach to your studying, taking actual autonomy over your studying as well is another attribute that will help you go through the whole sort of scenario, actually defeating your exam stress. Because if you take control of what you need to be done and have a proper schedule for it, then you are more likely to get through it. Obviously, confer with your lecturers, your teachers, they're there to help you. So things that you don't totally understand, or you need some help, or even need some resources to actually go through the whole process of learning, then what you need to do is actually use those resources. So it's a whole combination of using your collaboration with your teachers, it's using your peer group as study sessions, arrange them. So it's a whole combination of having some autonomy yourself, using the teachers as good mentors and coach, get your resources from them, and also using your good peer groups to actually have these study sessions. So those would be, I would say, would be the recommended ways of actually coping with stress. They may seem quite simplistic, but I think if they're actually done or monitored by someone, or actually some kind of plan has been put forward by the teacher, or by, say, the teacher facilitates the students to actually do this organization before the exam period, that would be a good positive psychology intervention. That would be a good intervention for them, for students to cope with their exams and actually think, yes, no, I can do this, and this is the way to do it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Fizza Shah, for your wonderful explanation. We will conclude this session within 5-10 minutes to our Pakistani friends, because they are having a third time after 5-10 minutes. So let me a little bit add in your philosophy. You explain that actually continuous assessment, okay, is very important for the students, okay, evaluation. And before there was a proper examination system, like after 1 year, the school management decide that, okay, it will be an exam, and then like this, like this. But now the world is changing. What I understand, especially if I'm talking about Saudi Arabia, we have two type of examination system. Okay, like one is actually British curriculum. Okay, those schools who are following O-level IGCSE, they have, yes, centralized exams for the conducted by the British Council. Okay, but another curriculum, they are called they are we call them American curriculum, okay, American diploma. That is totally like internal examination, internal assessment. Okay, and especially 1 or 2 years before, that was also having annual exams system was there, even in American curriculum also. But now the schools are totally changing their policy, okay, and they are converting, especially for the lower grades, like up to grade 5. Okay, they are monthly and weekly and monthly tests, and they are giving grades to the students. Okay, and they don't have any final exam. Okay, and this is called continuous assessment evaluation system. Okay, so especially the main objective of this forum is we will continue in the next session also, inshallah, because this is a very important and we will like to ask from some other philosophers also. We have so many friends from, especially Salma Niazi is a university lecturer, and she is a very senior English language teacher also. So we have Mr. Murad from Morocco, we have Ruben. So we have so many other friends here, and other friends because this that due to the timing clash and Ramzan, actually Ramzan and Aftar time, we received so many messages from other friends also. So we will continue this session inshallah in next week also, and maybe 2-3 3 weeks also to focus and to understand how the examinations and tests are affecting the young children. Okay, so thank you very much. If any of our friends having any question, Fizza Shah will address that.
Yes, thank you very much. It is a very informative session, Ms. Fizza Shah. It is very important, and psychology of students and learner psychology during examination is very important. But one thing is that parents' role is also very important while students they are preparing for their papers. The environment at home and the parents' role and parents' expectations, all these things are very important also. I want to just add this thing.
Yes, I would have to totally agree with you, ma'am. I think when you're preparing a child, obviously for examination sessions, or they have SATs exams, or they have forthcoming exams coming along, the parents need to be informed. Two, sometimes they need ways of actually telling them how they can help the child as well. So for them to allocate, say, if they have a SATs exam, and if the teacher then says to the parents that actually, you know what, the child will need to dedicate an hour on maths or hour on science per week, then you can actually obviously convey that to them beforehand. I think with all examinations, if they're prepared well in advance, then the teacher's role is quite imperative. They can actually do a intervention beforehand, put down what is required by the child to do at home, how the parents can help them. That would make the teacher's task a lot more easy as well, because while you're doing the, say, revision sessions within the classroom, they're actually getting that sort of top up from home as well. So yes, indeed, the parents, the teachers, and the child's role is quite, it's very important indeed. It's a three-way sort of intervention, and they can only flourish, the child can only flourish if they have the interaction and feedback from the teacher as well as the parent. And I think in all cases, all three of these vital individuals need to be well informed, what's expected of them, what needs to be done, what tasks at hand need to be broken down, and obviously what are they working towards. So a set goal. These strategies that are put down have to be goal orientated. They've got to be orientated towards the actual exam. So you're basically coaching the child as well as the parent towards that examination paper. I think that's really important to convey. And that's something that, you know, when you have training sessions as teachers and lecturers, you can sit down and actually look at your exam periods and think, okay, yes, we have these forthcoming exams. What are the goals? What goals are we setting for these children? What do they need to be doing? How can we cut this task down? Obviously, as experts, you know what the exam is required and what type of knowledge is needed for that. But sometimes you may have to simplify it for the parent as well as the child. And by doing that, you've actually, I think, enhanced or made the task more doable, and you would reduce stress levels within the child, and I think within yourself as well, because you'll know that actually the child understands what needs to be done. The parents have been given the information, what is needed to do to actually, obtain that goal. So it's got to be goal orientated. There's got to be strategies put in there, and there has to be a plan beforehand. And I think that would enhance the whole process of taking tests and examinations within schooling. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Murad, you have any question?
Hello, could they hear me at all? I don't know.
Yes. Mr. Murad? Mr. Murad is on silent mode. Wait.
Yeah, I have just a question. Sometimes we talk, for example, in education system in Finland, we say that we don't need to have a test and a primary school. What do you think?
I think examinations are important because they track process, but you can't have too many examinations, because then what you do is that you constantly, in children, you need to ignite their creativity. They need a break as well. Their attention spans are much more shorter. So it has to be interesting as well at the same time. So you have to find a balance between, okay, what type of exams are imperative that need to actually track their progress in such subjects as English, maths, and science, and obviously what exam tests are unnecessary. So if you're testing them, say, too much, you've got to find the right balance. Here in the UK, we have the 11 plus. It's a test that's taken for 11-year-olds to determine if they go into grammar school or not. And it's a hard test. It's not a very easy test. But what most primary schools here, they actually, that's about, if you've chosen the right exam, meaning that the school has set some standards whereby they feel that the child should reach at a certain age, then you should motivate and coach them towards it. So exams are important, but you need to find a balance and provide them information to the children as well as the parents, so they can cope with it well. So you have to have good coping mechanisms and good sort of communication, effective communication with the parent and the child. But exams, I feel very important indeed.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we should conclude the session, and because I already explained this the first time, expect that. So I'm grateful to all of my participants, especially Salman Niazi, lecturer, Janai Women University, especially Fizza, Mr. Murad. We have some new friends from with reference to Mr. Murad in this session. We were having Mia Hafizur Rahman from Al Haram School System, Kabir Wala, mashallah, is one of the founding members of OPEP. So thank you very much. And inshallah, the same session will continue in next week, hopefully at 1 p.m. UK time. Jazakallah.
Thank you so much, Salam. Assalamu alaikum to all of the colleagues that were in the actual discussion. Thank you so much for listening. Examinations are very important for children because at their age they're learning, and if they don't know what they're learning and they're not tested, then obviously they cannot then go on to the next sort of milestone of their learning career. So they need that sort of, I wouldn't say instant, but they need that progression of some kind of examinations that will allow them to get to one stage of learning, one level of learning to the next. So that is very important, examinations are. But however, stress can be actually avoided if the right type of interventions by the teacher are implemented, meaning they're organized, they're actually presenting some kind of sort of schedule for the child to actually adhere to certain strategies and giving them information and coaching them towards the actual exam. So you have to have the parents on board as well. So you've got to have goal-oriented strategies for these children for them to actually perform well in these examinations. And that's actually called a positive psychology intervention, which I feel all teachers should implement. If they're working towards examination periods, they need to do this beforehand and actually give the information, confer it to the children and the parents beforehand. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Fizza. Thank you very much.